Wolfpack, what's going on? It's your boy, the Wolf of Roto Street, RotoStreetJournal.com, and we breed and feed you fantasy wolves. Here with your Week 8 Waiver Wire and FAAB show, getting you all those Tuesday night pickups, getting you ready to go to get those lineups set, telling you how much FAAB you should be blowing on these players, who to prioritize, and I'll just start up front. There aren't a ton of great options, but there are like 5 to 6 I really like, and then a lot of intriguing stashes that we'll talk about. So come on in, guys. Get me that thumbs up. It would mean the world to help us get out to more people. And, of course, any waiver wire questions you have. Who should I cut? What should I do with XYZ? Do I need a defensive streamer here? Any of that stuff. Let us know, and we'll be more than happy to answer it after the stream. That takes about 20 or so minutes to get through all these players, and then we'll hit all your questions. So let me know how I can help you out, Wolfpack. Thanks so much again for being here, whether you're live or catching the replay. And if you haven't already, liked and subbed, if you enjoy what you hear, would mean the world. But let's get into it. No more previewing it. Let's just get right in and start with the first check, because I've still seen a lot of these guys out there. I want to make sure you know that these guys are ahead of any player I talk about tonight before I get into it. J.D. McKissic, only 62% rostered. I think he has to be the number one, maybe number two compared to Landry, depending on your team needs. I guess that also, before I even get into the players, just know that this list is my top 15 in order of how I would prioritize them. But of course, if you need a quarterback, that's going to change how you rank these guys. If you need a wide receiver, you bump those guys up. And also, if you're in win now mode versus I just want to absorb some upside, have it on my bench as a stash. Two very different situations. So as you ask questions, keep me posted on where you're landing in that. Is it a stash? Is it playable? Is it someone you need for this stream? I'll try to point that out too as I go through the players. But it is, especially with bye weeks hitting right now, one of those things that definitely keep note of as we go. So again, let's start at the top. J.D. McKissic, 62% rostered. We're seeing him be more and more involved. In fact, he played more snaps than Antonio Gibson this last week, nearly 60% compared to about 30% for Gibson. He's seen 8 to 15 touches in 3 of the last 5 weeks. He's got 15 plus in 3 of those 4 games when he's seen the amount of touches. And now they're working out more backs. They have Kerryon Johnson coming in. They have Deonta Foreman coming in. That can't be a good sign for Gibson and his health. So McKissic could continue to see that workload ratcheted up. He's already the main pass-catching back. And on a defense that's giving up the most points in the league, they're going to need that game script far more often than they don't. So keep that in mind. Jarvis Landry came right off the IR, led the team in targets. First game back, didn't do a whole ton with the usage, but just great to see. He looked like he was spry out there, running all over the place. He didn't practice today because of a knee injury, but still, he went back in the game. He returned even though he limped off. Great sign. They wouldn't put him back out there if there was really any concern at all. So I expect him to be full go. And against a Pittsburgh team giving the 5th most points to receivers, a very viable stream, whether it's Keenum or Baker throwing him the rock. Khalil Herbert. I mean, the guy just continues to get it done. 23 of the running back opportunities, 23 compared to 4 for Damian Williams, 1 for Ryan Now. He went for 100 yards against the Bucs. That's the 3rd time that's happened since 2018. This run D is one of the best, and this guy clearly belongs. I know Montgomery, this is as early as he could come back this week. There is a chance he gets activated, but even if so, it's clear Herbert has carved himself out the clear number 2 at this point, far ahead of Williams, who again, only 4 running back opportunities, did nothing with them as well. And they might take it slow, given how well that Herbert's playing right now. They might take it slow with David Montgomery. You might get another great spot start here for Herbert. Looking just fantastic again. And then last but not least, Tony, 46% rostered of these 4 names. Good chance he's going to be out there. Got dropped by a lot of teams with his injury last week, and I think that's going to go down as a huge mistake should he be out there in your leagues if you pass him up. I think he's going to be the league winner, in fact, of the stretch run. He had a monstrous 189-yard day the last time he was out there. Broke Odell Beckham's rookie season record. And that's like the guy he keeps getting compared to for his explosiveness after the catch, at the catch point. Not quite the route runner that Beckham was already as a rookie, but still has those ins and outs of the breaks. I mean, the change of direction on this guy is second to none. He's one of the best in the NFL already with the ball in his hands. He's in top in terms of yards per route run. There's 3 rookies in the top 10 actually this year. It's crazy. And he's one of them. The guy is a beast. He, as soon as he gets healthy, is going to be a league winner, highly used. Even on the game he went down, right? They had 5 pass attempts with him in. He had 3 catches on those 5. So he was the clear alpha, even above Sterling Shepard while they were both on the field together. I think you could get right back into that. So check for those 4 guys first. And if they're gone, we'll start off the list. And this is pretty much everybody's de facto number one. Okay, guys, thumbs up. Help us get out to more people. Get your questions in. Only 4 questions so far. Come on, guys. Let me know how I can help you out, what I can do for you tonight. Kenny Gainwell, the number one on every list so far this week, 23% rostered. I think you got to go 25, maybe even 30% FAAB on him if you want to get him. And I'm going to actually say I'm a little wary of blowing that much. I think, yeah, especially if you need a week 8 stream coming up here. He gets Detroit. I mean, he's going to be the featured back against Detroit. What better spot than the team giving up the second most points to running backs right now? Makes him a definite priority because of that sense, but also Miles Sanders labeled week to week. He was carted off. I expect him to miss. I'm guessing he's going to go on the short-term IR at minimum here. And after that point on, this is why I wouldn't blow the money completely. We had Boston Scott, and we'll talk about him. Why don't we talk about both Eagles running backs together? Boston Scott did outcarry Gainwell 7-5. Now, granted, Gainwell's seen 26 carries to 7 through these first 7 weeks of Boston Scott. So these were his first 7 carries of the season. That's one telling statistic there. We've also seen through the game, Gainwell outsnapped him 35-23 after the first 12 snaps when Miles Sanders got knocked out. He had a season-high 23.5% target share. Definitely in the positive game script, but that's happened a lot with the Eagles. A bad defense and a bad offense overall that they just get down and they start to pepper this guy. He did end up with, I believe it was 4 catches. Yep, 4 catches, 41 yards through the air, including a score in addition to 20 yards on the ground. Just a much better play. It is important to note that Boston Scott did see all the inside the 10 carries, which is kind of nuts. He's a tiny little Darren Sproles-esque guy, but he does run with power. And it's just important to note, too, it didn't become a one-man show. It was a definite committee. Again, 35-23. Yes, that favored Gainwell, but it's not like you're getting an every down, all the valuable work's going to him. A lot of the receiving work shall go to him. You know Scott can also catch the ball quite well out of the backfield. So this is why I'm not going to go below my load completely. But I do think it's worth it if you need the running back. If you lost Miles Sanders and you're desperate at running back, certainly worth the upside stab. And there's not going to be this many more upside types of backs to emerge there. So I have him at number 1. I have Boston Scott at number 8. Certainly less appealing than Gainwell from a talent perspective, from a usage perspective. But he did, again, get all those goal line carries this last week, even if he did lose the receiving work, which is kind of surprising. So I'd spend about 5 to 6% of my budget on Boston Scott and about 25 to 30% on Kenny Gainwell. Let me know if you have specific questions about them. Is it worth your number 1 priority? Things of that nature. Let me know. Now, this one's risky to blow a high waiver wire total high FAAB on, but I'm just putting him at number 2 because in terms of sheer league-winning upside, a guy that could actually come in and be a genuine stretch run difference maker, that's Deshaun Watson. And you guys don't need me to argue his case as a football player. Led the league in yardage the last time out, was the number 3 quarterback in fantasy last time out. He's great. As a player, as a human being, a lot of question marks there. And we don't know quite yet if he's going to be suspended. There's so many question marks. That's why it's a risk to go and blow all your money to go get him or blow the number 1 priority. Any of that stuff, you can't do it. There's too much of a risk. But Ian Rappaport, the latest, did say there's a good chance he's moved by November 2nd. That'd be an exact week from today. If he's not, cut him. He's not going to play for the Texans. We know that. So you stash him for a week. Let's see what happens. Cut your kicker through this week and see if he gets picked up or traded during this week. Citing league sources, and this would be the highest upside situation in my opinion. Joe Person says Deshaun Watson could go to the Panthers. They're involved and they're expected to continue to be involved in these discussions. I mean, you give him Robbie Anderson, who has been severely underwhelmed, but that deep arm of Watson, one of the most accurate deep balls in all of his starting years, every single year by PFF, he's among the top in passer rating and completion percentage and deep yardage. He'd rope the ball. That could resurrect Robbie Anderson's completely stagnant 2021. Never mind, you got DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey, ideally coming off the IR soon. Terrace Marshall hasn't done much as a rookie, but still a very intriguing weapons cabinet to then be in a Joe Brady system. This would be by far the top rumored landing spot. Yes, the Dolphins, okay. I mean, fine. Waddle looks great. Fuller's going to be there, his old boy. So you got some weapons if they're all healthy. That's a big if, though. Not nearly as attractive. Yeah, obviously, Gesicki running wild these days, too, but not nearly as attractive as it would be to go to the Panthers. And then, obviously, the Broncos could be insane. They were rumored early interest this offseason. Maybe that becomes to fruition now. Either way, it's still a huge risk because we don't know if he's going to get traded and slapped with the suspension, slapped with you can't play on the commissioner's exempt list. But they did say in Rappaport's tweet that he's in great shape and could immediately play upon being traded. Something just to consider. Well worth the stash because no matter where he lands, even if it's in the worst case scenario of the Dolphins, that's still going to make him a top 10 quarterback rest of the season. Never mind a top 5 guy, should it be a team like the Panthers. Number 3, I can't believe this, but Samaje Perine, 7% rostered. I think he's well worth 7 to 10% of your FAAB, depending on how needy you are at running back, because he's the ultimate handcuff with benefits, in particular in this week 8. He gets the Jets this week, who have given up the most points to running backs. We just saw him come off 11 rushes, 52 yards, and a score, in addition to a catch for 23 yards. That was tied with the total touches of Joe Mixon this last week, who may still be a little dinged up. Maybe it's just in matchups where they don't need him. They're going to give Perine more run. And do you think they're really going to need Joe Mixon facing a White? What's his dad? Mike White? Is that his name? The freaking whoever the guys for the Jets. The point is they're going to smash them. The Patriots just put up 54 points against the Jets. Never mind what the AFC best Bengals, I can't believe those words are coming out of my mouth, are going to do to them. They've afforded the Jets 36 opportunities, 36 running back touches per game so far, in addition to giving up the most fantasy points per week. That means Perine's going to have a nice, just standalone. You need a streamer this week? This guy's a great bet for another 50-ish to maybe even 80-yard type of day, a touchdown, receiving work. In fact, since he became a Bengal, anytime Perine has seen 11 or more carries, that's happened 3 times, only 3 times, but he's averaged nearly 21 fantasy points per game when he's seen 11 plus carries, 20.8 PPR fantasy points. He scored 4 touchdowns. So when he gets used, he is productive. He gets the job done. And then, of course, you have the ultimate handcuff upside. We know Mixon has a pretty littered injury history here. So, yes, you get the week 8 usability. You also get one of the best handcuffs in fantasy football because should Mixon go down again, and I would say at best 50-50 shot to make it through the season at this point. We've already seen him deal with 1 injury. Perine's going to be a low-end RB1 in all those weeks he's out. Definitely one of the top stashes you can make this week, in my opinion. Moving forward, number 4 on my list, T.Y. Hilton, the first receiver I have on here, 36% rostered right now. I think he's well worth your 6 to 8% FAAB. Maybe even get to the 10% if you really need a wide receiver for this week because he's expected to play, and he gets the number 1 matchup for wide receivers facing Tennessee, giving up the most points, in particular, susceptible to the big play against wide receivers here. Now, granted, he was knocked out last time. He only played 24 snaps. That was half the snaps. But on those 24 snaps, he saw 20% target share. He had 80 yards and 4 catches. He outproduced, out-targeted every realm Mike Pittman. So I don't know if T.Y. Hilton will move forward as the number 1. Every time Pittman's been out there by himself, he has been a genuine alpha. It's kind of frustrating that Hilton would walk right in and take the role. But that's what happened their last time out there. Could it happen again? Quite possibly. Either way, they're both great plays against Tennessee, should they both be out there. And for what it's worth, Hilton, just as an eyeball test, looked fantastic. He was spry as ever. He was leaping up after the catch and celebrating, excited to be there again. So T.Y. Hilton, one of my favorite wide receiver ads, especially if you need that week 8 stream. I also really like, he's on a bye this week, but Rashod Bateman at 32% roster. I think he's worth 7 to 8% of your FAAB. He's seen 6 targets in back-to-back games. It's truly Marquise Brown, Mark Andrews, and now Rashod Bateman at this point. The only 3 guys logging any type of meaningful work in this offense the last few weeks. Granted, Sammy Watkins was out with a hamstring injury. That could, and that's kind of why I have him below Hilton. Otherwise, he'd be my number 1 receiver by far as an ad. But he looks so dang good, like 35-yard catch and run, deep down the field for another one. 3 catches for 80 yards in this past week. Still hasn't found the end zone, but seen in solid target share in back-to-back weeks, looking like he deserves it. Really solid on the third down opportunities, moving the chains. We've seen Lamar Jackson looking towards him. An exciting player in an offense that is throwing it far more than they ever had because that defense is forcing them to. Positive scripts for the passing game for Bateman moving forward. I think that rapport only gets forged throughout the bye week and moving forward. Really like him. Now, if you need a 1-week streamer, though, of course, Bateman's not going to serve that need given he's on bye. But Darius Slayton, 14% rostered. I think another guy worth 6 to 7% or so of your FAAB. Certainly even more should we get word that Galladay, Shepard, and Tony are again about to be ruled out. Because this last week when they were ruled out, he saw 27% target share and 63% of their air yards. That's the highest mark of any player across the league for week 7. If you need the week 8 stream, this is about as good as it's going to get should those guys be out, because he's also facing the Kansas City Chiefs, who are very susceptible to big plays, giving up the 8th most points to wide receivers. Dreamboat matchup in that sense, should these guys be out. So check for Darius Slayton. He did have 63 yards on 5 catches. Nothing great, but against a Rams defense, that's pretty tough. Or Panthers, rather, this week, one of the better teams against wide receivers. Intriguing stash and stream this week, should you need it. And with guys like Adams and people on COVID, you might need this type of stream. Just note, though, they don't play till Monday Night Football, so that does add a little bit of risk. If all those guys are back, Slayton becomes kind of useless, and that's why he's a bit lower among the wide receivers. He'd be the number 1 guy if I knew all 3 of those people were going to be out and you could lock him in as your streamer. Another running back, immediate usability, have him just ahead of Boston Scott because I think he has a longer tail value. That's Brandon Bolden. 7 targets, 19% target share. That was the highest a Patriots running back has seen since James White got knocked out. Had 79 yards and a TD on it. No rushing yards, 2 carries for 0. That doesn't matter, though. The James White role is why you want him, and he's just cementing himself in that role. In fact, to the point that Ramondre Stevenson was a healthy scratch, given he keeps blowing pass protections. I think this is another solid stream right away. A desperation flex appeal against the Chargers team that has been susceptible to running backs, 5th most points at the position, in particular, giving up a lot through the air. This was that much target share, nearly 20% on the most negative of game scripts for them to throw to running backs. They were up so big all game, and yet they still continued to pepper this guy in 2-minute drills. He was the de facto number 1 receiver on those drills. He had 6 straight targets at one point. It was wild. So Brandon Bolden, it's not sexy. You don't feel great about it. And I'm just proud because I told a lot of people once Ramondre Stevenson was nailed inactive, he became my number 1 desperation stream last week. And damn, did he pay off. So go right back to the well this week. I think you got a nice matchup. You got the right possibility here. As we mentioned, Boston Scott, 5 to 6% of my FAAB, certainly lower than Gainwell, but has 3 to 4 weeks of usability here is my guess. Who knows how long Miles Sanders will be out, but he was the one seeing all the goal line work, led the team in carry 7 to 5. So something to note there as my number 8 pickup player. At tight end, my first pickup here would be CJ Uzomah, and that's pretty easy to make. 20% rostered, I'd say 5 to 6% FAAB, but if you're needy, I have no qualms going 10, 15%. Should you really need a tight end here? He's now been the tight end 1 in 2 of the last 4 weeks, 24 and 23 fantasy points in those games. He also had a 9-point day against Detroit, so not, great, but still 5 touchdowns in 4 weeks. Clearly a high usage red zone role, but also great after the catch. He's being afforded such great opportunities because you have Jamar Chase streaking down the field, because you have T. Higgins outside commanding number 2 corners. They have nobody to cover this guy, and he's looking like a freak. He's ran 178 routes on the year. That's 12th most among tight ends, pretty much in every snap, every route participation type of player here. And that's pretty rare to find a tight end. Top 15 rest of season tight end moving forward, given the explosiveness of this offense and giving his high, not usage in terms of targets, but high usage in terms of every snap, every route. And when he gets used, he's certainly producing, certainly as a touchdown scorer. Another guy to make note, I guess I do want to add one thing with him too, CJ Uzomah. The Bengals at the beginning of the year were one of the worst in terms of pace, slowest offense, and also one of the most run-heavy teams in neutral situations. 35% pass rate in week 1, 32% pass rate in week 3. They've now bumped it up to 60, 50, and 59% across their last 3 weeks in neutral situations. So they're starting to air it out a bit more, getting back to those ways, and Joe Burrow is looking so damn good in that rebound league. Now, Michael Gallup, you might want to bump him up if you have just bench space and you want upside. In terms of talent, as good as anybody on this list. One of my favorite receivers in the league. I can't wait for him to be a free agent next year and finally get the volume he deserves. But Dak Prescott, the only time that Gallup was on the field, attempted 58 pass attempts. They've been now the 11th highest run rate in neutral scripts. So I don't think the volume is going to be there. That's why I have Gallup a bit lower here. I think he's clearly below CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, now Dalton Schultz, who's seen 25 to 30% target share on a weekly basis. And then you also got Zeke in the running backs, Tony Pollard there, getting a ton of work. So maybe the 5th option on the totem pole right now, but I still think well worth a roster spot given Cooper's got an extensive injury history. Should he get leaped up to number 2 on the target totem pole because of an injury, Gallup could more than handle that. Such good chemistry with Dak on contested throws, sideline situations. We saw it in week 1. looking very solid. I think Gallup is well worth rostering at this point to check it out. But if you need immediate usability, we already talked about a few names like Darius Slayton, T.Y. Hilton could be good streams. But also, I wouldn't be shocked if the number one receiver pickup of this week, particular week 8, comes from the Packers, given that now we have not only Devontae Adams, who we talked about last stream, but now Allen Lazard, who would have been maybe number 3 or 4 overall on my waiver wire pickups should he have been on the guy. He's scored touchdowns in back-to-back weeks, had nearly 20% target share these last couple of weeks. Bam, he's now on the COVID-19 list too. So who's it going to be? Well, they're hopeful Marquez Valdez-Scantling returns for week 8, and I think he'd walk right into an alpha role. All the camp speculation was this guy has truly taken his game to another level. He's earned Rodgers' trust at a new pace at this point. And he was playing pretty decent to start the year. A lot of big plays and touchdowns dependency, but still also some short yardage goal line stuff he was scoring on. I'd be very intrigued should he play because I think he'd be the number one de facto receiver here. And at 5% rostered, worth a spot, certainly if you have Adams or need just a plug-in gap filler this week. Cobb also could be the de facto number one should MVS play, and it might just be anyways, as the guy that is veteran here, 9% rostered, who has Aaron Rodgers' firm trust. I'm just worried that Cobb can't handle number ones and might get completely taken out of the game should he be thrust into that role. But a good bet, great in the red zone with Rodgers on those broken plays, like could be the guy. And then St. Brown, also 0% rostered, so certainly out there in your league, could be the de facto number one. They're facing the Cardinals, who are obviously going to put up their points, one of the most explosive offenses in the game on Thursday night. There is still a slight chance Adams could get cleared, and then these guys would be useless, and that's kind of why they're a bit lower on the list. There is a world where they just aren't meaningful at all. But MVS of them all, I think, for this week and just long-term, has the most appeal. So I would go there first and should be potentially the number one receiver here this week. In terms of QB streamers, I keep going back to the well. I get off the train, I cut him, I hate him, and then he just continues to run all over the yard. Daniel Jones, 28% rostered, still only worth 2 to 3% of your FAAB because there is like Tua, and there's other guys out there. You don't need to go to him, but he gets Kansas City. Top 3 matchup for QBs, and in particular, why I love it, 6.1 carries and nearly 40 yards per game on the ground. Rushing-wise, 2 QBs. That's both in the bottom 5 against the position. That's where Daniel Jones butters his bread, baby. They're calling the runs for him no matter what. Even with these injuries, he's still very athletic with the sneaky Konami upside. And they've also, the Chiefs have been blitzed for 6.6 yards per play. That's the most in the league. If Daniel Jones is good for anything, it's running and it's chucking just prayers up there. And if there's ever a team that's going to work against, it's the Chiefs. So I like Daniel Jones as a streamer Monday Night Football, better on the road, so I'm not worried about that fact. So check him out. Now we're getting a real desperation, but Kalif Raymond, 3% rostered, worth at least 2 or so percent if you're desperate for a wide receiver. He now leads the wide receiver rooms in targets these past 2 games with 15 total. He's actually scored 10, 18, 0. That's the risk here. 7 and 15 across his last 5 games. So double digits in 3 out of the 5. He's seen 6 or more targets in 4 of the last 5 games. Scored 2 touchdowns in that span. Been a top 14 receiver in 2 of those 4 weeks. I mean, there's something here with Quintez Cephas on IR, with, Amon St. Brown just in and out of consistency. I think Kalif Raymond, who was hyped up by The Athletic, they do that great article to begin every season of breakout players on every team. He was their pick. He's getting it done. He's got Goff's trust. There's not much else to it. It's not sexy, but on a team that's going to need to throw and throw quite often, Kalif Raymond's kind of become the number one receiver there. Last 2, a couple tight ends for you. Evan Engram, 31% roster. That's actually higher than I expected, but I think he's worth 1 to 2% of your budget. Averages 4 catches for 34.2 yards since he returned in week 3, but now gets a Chiefs team that's averaging 11.5 yards per attempt, 2 tight ends, 575 yards. Those are both league highs. And we just saw him come into 24% target share, Evan Engram, without Kenny Golladay, Sterling Shepard, Kadarius Toney this last Sunday. So yeah, I prefer Uzomah. I think he's the number one guy for sure. But if you need a streamer on Monday night, again, we don't know who's in and who's out yet, but especially if the other guys are trending towards out, this could be a great smash top 12 play that's available in a lot of leagues. And last is more of a stash tight end, but I'm really intrigued by Pat Freiermuth, yet another athletic freak drafted by the Pittsburgh who know their pass catchers quite well. local boy. Shout out to Newburyport there. He ran the Pittsburgh Steelers did run 12 personnel on 23% of their plays since their first game without Juju. That was a season high rate. And he played Freiermuth 45 snaps, 60%. That was also a season high there. And he saw a season high. We'll keep saying season high. 7 targets, 17.5% target share there. Turned 5 of them into receptions. Very solid usage there. I'd love to see what the kid does. Behind only Kyle Pitts in this class in terms of a prospect. And he's already seems to be coming into his own. Had multiple touchdowns throughout the preseason. That's kind of his thing. Big touchdown body on a team that's going to need some playmakers to step up here as the injuries continue to mount there for the Steelers. So definitely intrigued by him. Let's give you a couple stashes here, folks. But if you haven't on and you like what you're hearing, please consider giving us a thumb up. Let us get out to more people. Share the links out. Drop it in Facebook groups. All that good stuff. We have about 30 questions. Cannot wait to answer them all for you guys, Wolfpack. Last few here to stash and see. A lot of this has to do with maybe Deshaun Watson landing somewhere. That's Will Fuller, 29% rostered. He might go and get his boy back, Deshaun Watson, should he get traded to the Dolphins, who, by all accounts, are the front runners. They've, quote-unquote, told teams you have to beat Miami's offer if you want them, according to Jay Glazer. So we'll see. That's why I'm faithful that Watson will get traded and will play at some point this year. It's probably going to be to the Dolphins. Again, hopefully it's the Panthers. But Will Fuller would immediately go from waiver wire fodder to a top 20 receiver, a guy that he's consistently dominated with in Deshaun Watson. Definitely worth the stash, in my opinion. If you have the bench space, he can also be in your IR as of right now as well. Terrace Marshall, only 6% rostered, but that's just more so if, of course, Watson goes there, his value would skyrocket as well. And then just a couple running backs to take note of. Marlon Mack, 17% rostered right now, still in trade conversations. I don't know that there's tons of backfields out there that's like Marlon Mack's here. Now he's suddenly very fantasy viable. So I'm not sitting out here saying it's necessary to go get him. But hey, maybe he goes to the Chiefs and Darrell Williams after an underwhelming second encore performance. Maybe Mack gets some touches there in one of the more explosive offenses in the league. Last but not least, I do want to mention Jarrett Patterson for the Washington football team. They're working out running backs, which tells me Antonio Gibson might not be quite right yet and could get shut down. Alrighty, folks. That's all I got in terms of waiver wire pickups. Let us now hit. Alrighty, guys. Let's get on in here. What up, Mitch? Great to see you, brother. Thanks so much for being here, as you always are. Wish Penny would have shown well. Yeah, he looked like crap, Roth. Terrible. Were you the one that was calling for a huge freaking game? Didn't see it. Didn't happen. None of them looked good. That's what's going to happen when you got freaking Geno Smith at QB. So he's cuttable in my opinion, though. It was clearly the Collins show, like 16 carries to 6. They tried to get Penny going in the first half. Didn't respond well. I imagine it's going to be the Collins show first and foremost until otherwise noticed. Would you trade from Charlie Prebbles, Kelsey and Lamb for Jacobs, Ridley, and Waller? I don't think so. I think Lamb and Kelsey are the two best players in that offer, and it's not really even close, especially with Jacobs and Waller on buys. I know you're in win now mode. I would not do that, Prebs. What up, Ben? Great to see you, brother. Offered Cook for Kamara. I have Madison already, and Taysom Hills is to be back. Do I take Cook? Oh, man, that's tough, Mitch, because Kamara is starting to cook as a receiver. We saw that against Seattle. They're getting him more and more involved these past couple of weeks. It is a full PPR. Probably go Kamara. Plus, there's less injury risk with Kamara. Gun to my head, I think I'd take Kamara. You do have Madison, which makes it closer, but you also get the bye out of the way. I'd probably keep Kamara here. And I have Cook, so I'd love to have some owner bias and say go for it. But after Kamara's last game, I think I got to keep him. Knox or Kittle long-term, half PPR. Johnny, I don't know what to make of Kittle. I don't know if he's going to get healthy, when he's going to get healthy. And even if he does, he wasn't doing jack shit. I kind of like Knox. He still leads tight ends and touchdowns as of right now. Yes, he's got a couple of weeks till he's going to be back. I'd like to have them both. I mean, how can we not figure out a spot especially if you're the IR for Kittle? But if it's one or the other, I honestly think it's Knox, which is crazy to me. James Conner worth trying to acquire? I don't know, Roth. Like, if you can get him cheap, he's okay. I don't see his role really ever improving or getting that much worse. I would caution that Edmonds did see 15 carries to just 10 for James Conner. That kind of flipped. This was the first week Edmonds has practiced in full over the last 3, and he had the highest workload he's had all season, most snaps he's had all season, and he's starting to see some red zone work, not goal line work. That's going to always be Conner. He's still got that touchdown roll on lock, but I'm also not sitting here saying, like, I'm sprinting out to go get James Conner right now. A good, better than 50% shy of the touchdown every week, so that has some value there. But as an injury-prone guy and a timeshare, and then the other time, half that timeshare is better and seeing more snaps these days, more carries even, makes me a little nervous. Not a guy I'm sprinting out to go get. Thoughts on MT and how good he'll be on return? I mean, I think he's going to be as good as ever, I guess. But Jameis Winston kind of sucks. Like, last night was a good extended look at him on Monday Night Football. And granted, it was windy conditions and not the best game to get a full look at him, but he just did not seem comfortable. Constantly had fast, rapid feet, like kind of shitting himself. You could see it dribbling down his leg. I don't know. And it seems like Sean Payton like hates the guy. He was asked about him last night, immediately shut out when he's ready, he'll be there. Like, it doesn't seem like there's any rush on either side to get this guy back. I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't return. Like, honestly, I could see him trying to spite the team that much. So if he plays, I'm sure he's going to be good. He's one of the best receivers in the league, and Winston can get the rock. We've seen him sustain multiple wide receiver ones, but I don't know. I'm getting kind of nervous about if and when he's going to return, Rashik. Again, guys, you don't mind that thumbs up button. Help us get out to more people. Continue to get these questions, and let's go, Wolfpack. Great to see you, Jeff Lee. Winston or Watson? I mean, I'd much rather have Watson on my team because I really don't like Winston. Were you really going to use him? Watson, at least if he becomes something, you can fire him up as a top 10 weekly QB. And if not, you just cut him next week. Like, if nothing happens by the trade deadline, you just cut him next week. Do you understand to flex till Hunt comes back? Yeah, I think so, Charlie Prebs. I really do. I think he's here to stay. He really passed the eyeball test. He's a great player. So, yeah, I'm into it. Joe Flacco is a savior. Yeah, Ryan Haggerty, truly #elite, isn't he? Oh, God. Yeah, Joe Flacco, the Jets backup now. He just got traded back. Seriously, yeah. Good Lord. Good Lord. Rico Baptiste, Flex 1, Pittman or Darrell Williams. Again, I don't know until later tonight and then tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern time. I'll do my ranking show. I can give you a better answer. It depends on T.Y. Hilton, but if he's out, I really like Pittman against Tennessee. I know he gets the number one matchup for receivers. Don't know. It's the Giants for Darrell. That's also a really good spot. I like them both a lot. Is it full PPR, Rico? I'm leaning Pittman as of right now, though, if Hilton's out. Evening, brother. Great to see you, Trey. Yes. Full PPR, Flex 1. A-Rob, Eli Mitchell, Chase Edmonds, Khalil Herbert, or Pittman. Lot to still figure out here, Trey. Like, is David Montgomery going to be back? All that. And I don't know all these matchups off the top of my head. Again, that's tomorrow's show. So come on over if you want some Week 8 streamers. I'll tell you one thing. It is hell no to A-Rob. I don't even know how we're asking him. Gun to my head right now, without knowing the matchups, I kind of like Eli Mitchell. I mean, 18 fantasy points in like a quarter last time. Looked so damn explosive and fast. So I'm leaning him right now. I do, as we mentioned, though, love Pittman, especially in full PPR. If T.Y.'s out, getting that number one matchup for receivers. But Trey, I can give you a stronger answer tomorrow once I have my rankings all set. If you come back 7 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. Have Devontae Booker, Gainwell, Scott, Perine, and Herbert all on waivers. Do I drop him for one of these? Half PPR, says Ben. Not Scott, but honestly, I might rather own any of the other ones. Booker is a pretty good stream this week should Barkley remain out. I'd probably rank it Gainwell first, then Booker, then Perine. That's the one risk with Gainwell, though, is like, and that's part again of why yes, he's the number one pickup this week. And even still, I'm not looking to blow the load because we're getting the guy that's in the role that had us all pulling our hair out for Miles Sanders, right? Like, why is he suddenly going to be all that much better? Sure, it's one less mouth to feed with no Sanders there, but we already saw them force feed freaking Boston Scott to just insist it's a committee. So I don't know. I might just keep Booker over these guys, especially if you need to start him this week. Now, if it's just about stashing an upside, you know what you got in Booker. And when Barkley's out, he's going to be viable, but otherwise, nah. It might make sense to stash Gainwell or Perine if you're just looking for sheer upside, or Herbert. I mean, all of them, just not Scott. It depends on your roster if you're using him, Ben. But this week, I'll probably have Booker higher in my running back rankings than any of the other ones, other than maybe Gainwell because he gets Detroit. Should I drop Van Jefferson, Stevenson, or Judy? Not Judy. That's for damn sure. Sheedon. I'm excited to see him come back against a Washington team giving up the most points to wide receivers other than the Titans. Need a QB? I drop Stevenson then. Not Judy. Stevenson's healthy scratching. We don't know if and when he's going to finally carve out a meaningful role, Sheedon. So go with that. Van Jefferson also cuttable if you need to, but I would go Stevenson first, then Van. With Andrews on bye, best tight end stream this week. Conklin, Uzomah, Freiermuth. Oh, it's Uzomah for me, baby. The Jets, 8th most points to tight ends. Uzomah, tight end 1 in 2 of the last 4 weeks. I'm intrigued. So that's my guy. I also think Aaron Jones is absolutely great to play. In fact, even better of a play, Robert, because his target share spikes anytime Devontae Adams is out. Never mind Devontae Adams and Allen Lazard. So yeah, I'm all about Aaron Jones this week. Smash play him. Damian Harris does look damn good, but against the Chargers, that could be a game flow type out of the game. So give me Aaron Jones, no doubt about it. Cut Bateman for TY. I have depth at receiver and looking for more upside. So yeah, if you're looking for upside, Ethan, I think Bateman has longer term upside for sure. So that's what I'm going for. I do think TY has some good juice too, especially after that first game. So I like them both, but if it's just like you don't actually using them, it's just the depth and upside, then I like Bateman more. Levi, Dawson Knox, Gronk, Zach, you are deep. So you got to drop one. Who do you drop of them? Man, that's tough. Not Gronk, because he was just like literally the tight end 1 when he was healthy. You got too many tight ends. You're 5-1. Managing my team very well, but 3 tight ends, 1 got to go. Do they though? Like, do you really need to drop one? Is there a position you need? Like, if so, then okay. But you need to start Ertz, right? Because the other 2 might be out again. As soon as Gronk's back, I think you can comfortably drop Ertz. I'd have a hard time dropping Knox, though, leading the NFL in tight end touchdowns at this point. So it all depends. Like, you might have to just hold 3 until one of the other 2 are back, then you can cut Ertz. What running back can I acquire in a trade for Mitchell and Thielen? I think you're looking at like a solid RB2, high-end RB2. Check out my rest of season big board at rotostreetjournal.com and kind of looking at that like tier 5 or 6, those high-end RB2s. Maybe you're looking at like, I don't know. I don't think that's going to be enough to get up to like a Jonathan Taylor or any of those really solid guys. I would see if you could bump someone else in there and maybe sneak play for Swift type of thing. Like that won't be enough on its own, but you add one more sweet little thing. But it all, again, depends on who you're trading with, what they need, like all that stuff. Trades are pretty tough to evaluate in that vacuum. Drop Boyd for either Ward. I dropped Boyd last week. I hate the guy. I'm happy. My team feels infinitely better not having that guy in the locker room. I would go Judy first and then Tony. But yes, I want them both on your roster. If there's anybody else you can drop, certainly drop Boyd, though. Tucker for Gano. Oh, man, it's tough to drop Tucker, but given the fact that you have Tony out there, then yeah, you got to drop him for somebody. I don't love Gano against the Chiefs. I think they're going to need touchdowns more. This Chiefs team, you never know. But yeah, you got to drop your kicker if there's guys like Tony and Judy out there. Still can't believe that. Yeah, that when he got sniped in the middle of the field, Ben, how crazy was that play? Just ridiculous and pathetic. Tony, what up? Oh, God. Yeah, that's bad. Callaway for the flex, dropped Herbert. But the thing is like, yeah, your opponents, he's going to have 1, maybe 2 more weeks at most of usability. Because once Montgomery's back, I imagine that remains his role. Herbert might get, in for 8 to 10 carries, but he's killing it because he's getting 18 to 20 touches a week right now. So yeah, it's tough to have dropped him, and Callaway, damn, he sucked. Like, brutal. Trust me, I used him. Not fun. So yes, this does not end up being a solid play, but go try to get him again. Drop Callaway, see if you can get Herbert. But yeah, I don't think his leash is that much long, but I'm going to probably drop Callaway in leagues as well. So certainly you can go get someone else other than him. Jimmy Graham worth a stash? No. Why? Why would he be? Do you think he's going to get traded? I don't know. But even if he does, like, it's Jimmy Graham and he's a zombie. No, not for me. This could be my full roster if CMC was healthy. Kyler, CMC, Najee, Cup, McLaurin, Kittle, Ridley. Oh, Thunder. That is just a sexy team. Let's get CMC healthy for you. You're going to kill it. No way, Herbert. Yeah, that's true. Maybe he doesn't, but you can give it a try. Cobb or MVS? I prefer MVS if he's playing, but yeah, we'll see. What RBs would you target if you want to trade Hopkins? You're looking at like low-end ones there, face. That might be like Swift. I think Swift's another good one, Swift for Hopkins, like right in that same range. I think that's very doable. So Jeremiah, should you drop Goddard for Tunyon, given that the other guys are out? I'd probably prefer Goddard because it's season long. And the guy played 95% of the snaps, ran 88% of the routes, like after sitting around half and half while Ertz was there. So I think Goddard season long is much better option. Maybe this 1 week it's Tunyon, given all the guys out. But even then, he's been so sketchy this year. I definitely prefer Goddard. So I would not drop him, no. Jay Williams or K. Herbert? I think Williams has much longer term value if you're talking about Javonte Williams. If you're talking about Jamal Williams, then no interest at all. Then it would be Khalil Herbert. But if it's Javonte, it's definitely Javonte for me, Ed Day. Thank you, Charlie Preble. Reminder, guys, hit that like button. Help us continue to grow and get out to more people. It really does help. So thank you so much. We appreciate it. Lawrence Franklin, what up? Sorry, caught COVID as well as Devontae. I think Rodgers. I mean, it makes me nervous, Lawrence. I haven't done my week 8 rankings yet, but the 30th most points allowed. So the Cardinals have been a tough defense. Then you take away his weapons. I could see it being a bad game. Weirdly, he actually averages more points per game these last 2 years without Adams in the lineup. I don't know how or why or what the logic is behind that, but it's the truth. But now with 2 of his top guys out, I am a little bit nervous as a Rodgers. I have him on my squad. I don't feel great about it. He's probably going to be right on the fringe of my top 12 this week. Higgins or Chenault Jr.? Oh, Rashod Higgins. Not Rashod. T. Higgins, no doubt. 38 targets in his last 3 games, leading the team. Love it. I have Najee, Swift, Gibson, so I could flex Booker or stash one of the others and play AB or Tony instead of one of them. Well, you're playing AB over Gibson for sure, no doubt about it. So you got Najee and Swift locked in. You're playing AB over Booker. So you might just want to stash Gainwell at that point. But you don't want to also hand somebody a 15 to 20 touch running back either. But AB's locked in your lineup, assuming he's play. Half PPR, Gainwell, Collins, Herbert, Dearness need to pick one up. Do you need to use one is the other part of that question, Sarah. I think Herbert, if you need a 1 week rental this week, it's probably going to get one more there. I do like Dearness too. All these guys are right in that same backup running backs that are seeing some work because the other guy's out and who knows how long that's going to last. So it's tough. I don't know. I don't. I'm sorry. Wish I could give you a clearer answer there. But gun to my head, and then Collins gets the Jags. I got to rank these guys this week before I can give you a clearer answer. But I think Gainwell has the most long-term upside. I think right off the bat, Herbert has the most usability, if that helps you, Sarah. Johnny Lau, smash like and subscribe. Wolfpack, thank you so much. Doing my job for me. But yes, if you've enjoyed what you've heard and you don't already sub, it would be very appreciated if you consider we want to get to 2K by the end of the year. We're only about 200 away. Help us hit that number, Wolfpack. Tell us to your friends that you're not facing. Keep sharing us out and turn that bell on so you know we're live and you can get your questions in and answered. All righty, we got Jeremiah Moore. Can you hate cut A-Rob? Coming on both parts of the stream. Love to see that. I would say yes. I'm probably hate cutting him in quite a few leagues this week. The one reason to hold out if you have the bench space is what if he gets traded? There is some situations he could walk in and be a clear number 1. I really don't think he's bad. I think it's just his quarterback sucks. Fields does suck. Was wrong about him, 100%. And Matt Nagy's just god-awful this year. So if he's stuck with the Bears at this time next week, we will know whether he's been traded or not. Has he not been traded? It's a hate cut. If you really need the spot to pick somebody else up, I think you can cut him anyways. But you'd hate if you cut him and then he went to Tampa Bay. It probably won't go there, but you know what I mean, the Saints or a team that just needs a wide receiver 1 type of thing. Any concerns about Hurts ever getting benched? Yeah, but until he does, you got to ride that one out. I mean, fourth quarter, it's like Bortles reincarnated. I think 45% of his production in fantasy has come in the fourth quarter. Fucking wild. It's insane. But that Konami upside, I mean, top 10 QB every single week this year. The only QB to achieve that feat. Over 20 points in every start this year. Only QB to achieve that feat. Fantasy-wise, he's great. There are rumblings, I don't know if you saw him, Daniel Howland, that they're going to try to give Minshew a shot down the stretch if this doesn't improve. So there's a good chance he gets benched, and that's going to be the 1 week he's not a top 10 QB. But until that happens, ride the wave, baby. Kareem Hunt for Josh Jacobs and Chuba. I'd prefer the Jacobs-Chuba side, yeah. Who knows when Hunt's going to be back. Yeah, I'm into that, Brendan. Brandon, best waiver wire pickup, Hilton, Bateman, Kirk, Claypool, Gainwell, Brandon Bolden. Well, we did a whole show on a good amount of these guys, so rewind, listen to my takes on them. But of that list, I would say Gainwell is my favorite. India, any deep QB streams for me? 14-team league, so I'm looking at a broken Baker, Ben, Zach Wilson, etc. Oh, that is horrific stuff. God. Probably Big Ben, just because of the weapons, and you hope he throws in 2 to 3 touchdowns. But that's bad. Is Trey Lance sitting out there? Because he might start this week, and I would just go for the rushing upside there, India. That's where I'm looking in some leagues is Trey Lance. But other than that, yeah, you're looking at Big Ben most likely. Best waiver pickup. Oh, we already answered that one for you. Don't ask your questions a million times. You're good at putting time out. Should I trade, says Mark Yosko. Lockett for Michael Pittman and Darnell Mooney. I would probably do that. I mean, you get Russell back in week 10. He could go go crazy down the stretch, but I really like Pittman. I am intrigued to see how he performs with him back, with the T.Y. Hilton back, but this depends on your team need, right, Mark? If you need the win, then you do it. If you can wait it out, lock it down the stretch is going to be far more valuable than either of these guys once Wilson's back in week 10. If you're sitting here, though, and you're like, I got to gut out 2-3 wins, I'm bottom of my league and trying to fight for a playoff spot, then you might need those guys to perform. Lockett clearly is going to be useless until Russell Wilson's back. So it all depends on the position you're in. If you're in a position where you need the wins, then you got to pull this trigger. Juke Collier, I trade AB, Michael Thomas for DK, Gallup, and Parker. What are your thoughts? I think you win. DK is the best player. The only thing that would make this a non-win for you is if you're in win now mode, I think AB is the better play. But DK, season long, the best player of this deal. So I think you win this, but it is close. It's not a smash win, but I think you win. Saludos, Tomas. What's up from Panama? Good to see you. Need to bench Jamal W. Yeah, definitely. I think D'Ernest for sure. You get B. Scott against the Lions is intriguing, but I love what I saw out of D'Ernest. That guy's a baller. So I go him. Emmanuel or Carter in the flex, half PPR, or Tony if he goes. I go Manny. Dolphins are horrendous, so I go with him. 29 watch and hit the like button. I love that we got 30 people here live. Awesome. I don't know how many likes we're up to, but yes, smash that like button, baby. Keep helping us get out to more people. Thank you, Mike Duty, for helping me do my job. Let's go, Wolfpack. Drop Corey Davis for Judy Tony. Yes, either one of them. So I think you've asked 2 drops, Ward Willis for Judy Tony. Drop both those guys and pick up Judy Tony. Absolutely. Judy or Tony, I'd go Judy. He had 7 targets and 6 catches in the first half before he went down. But Tony is damn good, Brandon Williams. Gesicki, Uzomah, Dalton Schultz. Oh, I'm going Gesicki all day, Ilias. The guy is tight end 2, tight end 7, tight end 3 in his last 3 weeks. I mean, the guy has been a beast in terms of target share and everything. Love Gesicki. Eckler and Diggs for Kamara, Michael Thomas, and Hawkinson. I would prefer the Eckler-Diggs side by a mile, Kellen Brown. So, yes, I would do that. Who to drop when M. Thomas comes off IR? Kamara, Javonte. I mean, you're not dropping Kamara or A.J. Brown or A.B. Put in the people that you know might be in consideration. You're not dropping CeeDee Lamb. You're dropping Sony Michel of all these guys. All the rest of them are great plays. You could drop Bateman as well. But come on, Sheepdog. You know you're not dropping all of these guys except maybe Sony and Bateman. Limit it to the 2 people you're actually considering, brother. Gano or Joseph? I go Joseph. I love Greg. I have Brady. Need a week 9 buy replacement. Colts play Jets that week. Is Wentz? He kind of is, but they're much more susceptible on the ground. So it's not the best. They actually have a decent pass D for whatever reason this year. What's Gainwell's value in terms of trade? Looking to improve tight end. I mean, this is probably going to be as hot as it ever is, right? He gets Detroit this week. Everybody's talking about him as the number 1 waiver pickup. I mean, you got some decent value here for that. So I think, this is where you ship him, right? This is where it has to happen. So go now, try to get a tight end. I would say you could look to get like maybe Goddard. Try to pull off more. Daniel Howland. I would say you could certainly try to get I'm trying to think of some other good names, right? In my rest of season bid board. Noah Fant maybe would be a nice play. Dalton Schultz. I would definitely see if you can get something of that nature for sure. Maybe you can package him and get an Andrews. Somehow maybe sneak out Kyle Pitts with Gainwell and something else. Shoot for the moon, baby. I would say try to prepare for a package because all those 6 to 12 are all kind of the same tight ends. They're still kind of boom or bust, but if you can get a Pitts the way he's playing, if you can package Gainwell and something else to get him, then go for it. Damian Williams drop. Oh yeah. Yes, absolutely, Bam. It's not even close at this point. 18 more thumbs up. Absolutely, guys. We got only 21 likes. We got 39 of you watching. Come on. Hit us with that thumbs up. Continue to rack up those numbers, Wolfpack. We greatly appreciate it. And again, those of you that are watching, if you haven't already subbed to the channel, it would be so greatly appreciated if you like what you're hearing. But yes, come on. Get those thumbs up, people. Let's we got 41 live viewers and only 21 likes. We can do better than that. Wait and see Judy this week or put him right in. Depends on Ben what else you're looking at, but I mean, he's facing Washington. It's about as bad as it gets. And every report is he's looking great. Like right back to the old Judy right now. You'd have to have some good options to sit him. I'll tell you that much. Replacement for Devontae. Who's are you saying? Oh, Devonta Smith, like out of your lineup this week? That's what I'm kind of reading this as. Man, not great. I would say, I mean, is there, let's see here. I mean, let me just throw out Ian Taylor, some of the wide receiver pickups we've already talked about tonight. T.Y. Hilton. Do we got Rashod Bateman? Well, he's not playing this week. Darius Slayton, though, on Monday Night Football could be a great play. Really like all the Packers on Thursday night. Those guys are likely going to be out there for you. Randall, Cobb, MVS, maybe even St. Brown if you're desperate. I like those guys as potential desperation streams. So those are some guys I prefer over Van or Osborne. If those are your only two options, I'd probably go Van and just hope for another big game. But he kind of is alternating those big weeks. I would probably be looking at the Packers if none of those other guys are out there for you. What's good value to get back from Kamara? I mean, you got to – I think you ride out, but if you're selling him, you better be getting two really good players that are drastically improving your lineup, Ryan Higgs. Otherwise, I would not be selling at all. Drew Collier, flex spot, Corey Davis, Lockett, Michael Carter, Devontae Parker, Michael Gallup. I would say out of all these guys, I don't know right now because, again, I don't do my rankings till tonight, and then I do a show tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Come on back. I can give you a better answer, Juke, but I feel like I can't trust Davis without his QB. I don't really trust Lockett with Geno. I don't really love Parker. Is he even playing? I think it comes down to Carter, who saw 20 touches this last week. That's probably where I go. Tony, we talked about Marlon Mack. I think he's stashable to see if a trade happens, and you just cut him if it doesn't. But even then, I'm not cutting anything valuable to stash him. Like, if you got trash and you just got a spot, okay. But I'd rather spend that spot on Watson and pretty much everybody else I've talked about tonight. So, because what spot does he land where he actually has value? I don't see many, if any. The Chiefs maybe, but Williams was good enough, so I don't know. 16 team is Jacob McAllister. I honestly can't even tell you who Jacob McAllister is, Sport Willis, so no, I don't think so. I mean, you got to dig deep in 16 teamers. I get that, but like maybe Darrington Evans, like some backups to the godforsaken something bad happens. Jacob Hollister. No, I would go for the other tight end there in Buffalo. Is he even with Buffalo anymore? I don't even know where Jacob Hollister is anymore. I'd go for the guy they've been hyping up this week, the rookie. And again, it's not even if you're just stashing it. Like if it's just a flyer, just play. I like that, but it's bad. Worried that loser family show. Taysom's going to Hawks, get alone carries, and could look. If you can get Najee and something else, then yeah, I would do it. But you better be getting Najee plus something. Like Kamara's as good as it gets, man. Alrighty, Wolfpack, that's all we got. So again, on the way out, we're only 22 likes. We got 40 of you watching. Come on. Get those likes up. If you're catching the replay and you enjoy what you hear, hit that thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the show. We'd be greatly, greatly appreciated to continue to help us on out. Thanks again so much for being here. As you know, we answer every question as long as you're here live with us. We'll try to answer comments and questions too. If you're catching the replay, I try to hit those as much as I can, but guaranteed answers, 7 p.m. Eastern time, live every single day but Friday and the weekends. So Wolfpack, in a world full of fancy sheep, be that wolf, guys. Best of luck getting the waiver wires you need, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow for our ranking show.